Eighth station. Your element. Through what you don't like, you'll get to what you do. We talked about how important it is to find our passion. That is, an activity that enables us to both flow happily and feel we are of use to the world. However, in today's society, overloaded as it is with stimuli, pressing matters and responsibilities, it is not easy to know what you really want to devote yourself to. And before we set our bullet train in motion, it is vital that we are clear about where we are headed. Maybe that is why there are so many brilliant people who lead apathetic lives, out of touch with creativity and the search for the meaning of life. How can they reconnect with their passion, our place in the universe? After the preschool stage, many schools not only fail to encourage their students' creativity, but on occasion even stifle the children's imagination. For kids to be introduced to the arts and to creativity, they have to be enrolled in extracurricular activities, which means a financial burden for the parents and an increased workload for the children. In 1998, the United Kingdom created a Commission for Creativity, Education, and the Economy, led by Sir Ken Robinson, which has helped to change education models. Not only in the UK but in other parts of the world as well. Sir Ken Robinson is highly critical of the education system under which he was taught, regretting the fact that neither primary school, secondary school nor college enabled people to develop their talents and discover what they really wanted to devote themselves to. His definition of the element has a lot in common with the diagram that opens our book IKIGAI, in which passion and effort merge into a single entity. As Robinson defines it, the element is the place where the things we love doing and the things we are good at coincide. I believe it is vital for all of us to find our element, not just because that will make us feel more satisfied, but also because as the world evolves, the very future of our communities will depend on it. It is not easy to embark on the search for our place in the universe, and we often find hindrances that make us think of giving up. Not only our own fears and insecurities, but also society itself, which puts obstacles in the way of the brave and punishes those who think differently. The next horizon. In his recent work, Finding Your Element, Robinson indicates a series of guidelines to work on the thing we like and lend our talent to making a more creative society. Leaving behind your modesty and insecurities, find out once and for all which subjects or skills come naturally to you. Change yourself into a confident, responsible person capable of defending and strengthening your abilities. Discover what makes you get out of bed in the morning, what fills you with motivation. Find out how you can have fun with the thing you adore. For example, building the boat is not the same thing as sailing it. Once you know what your element is and where to find it, all that remains is for you to set off and enjoy the adventure. We all know people who are so happy with their job that going to work is just as big a stimulus for them as being on vacation. They might be a firefighter, a teacher, or a data analyst. It doesn't matter. The crucial thing is that they have discovered their element, and through their hard work, they are helping to create a kinder, more generous planet. This is within everybody's reach. As Robinson says, your search will also have its challenges and rewards. Although nobody has lived your life before, there are signs left by many others who set off down this path before you and can guide you. In the end, only you will know if you have arrived, or if you have to carry on to the next horizon, if you have found your element or if you are still looking for it. Whatever the case may be, you must never doubt the search is worth it. The negative-positive test. The creator of psychomagic, Alejandro Jodorowsky, said that if you don't know what you like, start by noticing what you don't like. And through a process of elimination, you will get to what you do like. That is just how this exercise begins. 1. Write down what you disliked studying. You can start with subjects you hated at school or in the rest of your education, and why. Make a list of jobs you loathe. If you have work experience, write down which ones have made you feel empty or alienated and also specify why. 3. Make an inventory of the everyday things you really don't like doing. It may include household chores, organizing your schedule, or any day-to-day responsibility that you may find tedious. Once again, ask yourself why. 4. Find the common denominator in everything you dislike. How are the stones in your negative lists similar? Figuring it out will give you a pointer to what you should avoid in the search for your element. Do repetitive tasks make you weary, or, in contrast, does it overwhelm you to do things that require creative thinking or decision-making? Are they activities you do alone or with somebody else? Does somebody tell you to do these tasks, or do they depend solely on you? Does it imply a physical or intellectual effort? 5. Next, write down everything you like or liked doing in the same categories as before. School, education, jobs. Everyday tasks. 6. Find the common denominator in everything you like, with the same questions as in point 4. And add this 5th one. Is there a single field or idea that defines your element? 7. Have you stopped doing any of these enjoyable activities? Why did you give it up? What can you do to recover it? 8. Make a ranking of the things you love or love to do. Which would be in first place? How can you give it more prominence in your life? 9. Now that what you feel passionately about is becoming clear, ask yourself the key question: what have I always wanted to do and haven't dared to start doing yet? 10. Decide how, where, and when you are going to start and add a signature to your commitment. 9th station, Franklin, a method for strengthening our virtues. Oh, keep moving forward on our journey. We are going to cast a look back to the 18th century to find out about the life of a man who developed his own tools to keep in tune with his ikigai. Self-reflection and admiration were the two instruments Benjamin Franklin used to go beyond his limits. His biography is eclectic and almost endless. He stood out as a politician, diplomat, inventor, and many other things besides, and played crucial roles in the American Revolution and the formation of the United States. Franklin was also a philosopher, and, to use current terminology, devised an interesting method for personal growth. There are 3 extremely hard things in this world: steel, diamonds, and knowing yourself. Benjamin Franklin, a self-help pioneer, the man who is the subject of this station, might be defined as a pioneer of personal growth when this concept clearly didn't even exist. And why is that? This restless American intellectual was already aware that self-knowledge and imitating those who have progressed beyond us are key to transcending our own limits. Upon reaching the age of 20, Franklin set himself a very ambitious goal: to achieve moral perfection. To do that, he devoted time to reading the biographies of great men who had gone before him, and took from them the virtues he felt should guide his steps. Franklin's Notebook. The following have come to be known as Benjamin Franklin's 13 virtues: temperance, silence, order, resolution, frugality, industry, sincerity, justice, moderation, cleanliness, tranquility, chastity, and humility. If we try putting ourselves in his shoes, can we imagine a 20-year-old looking for moral perfection could stick to following these virtues? Franklin used cards like the one below to help him. On the cards, he noted the days of the week and qualities needed to obtain perfection. On a weekly basis, he focused on one of them, putting it at the top of the list, and marked each day that he had practiced this virtue with the requisite determination. After 13 weeks, that is to say, roughly each trimester, he had finished this series and would start over. To take stock of whether or not he had reached the day's goal, he would examine himself at the end of each day. That is, on a daily basis, he observed how upright he had been in his search for perfection. Toward the end of his days, although he knew he had not reached moral perfection, he thought this strict behavioral code and self-awareness routine had made him a better person. To this extent, he felt indebted to his notebook for a lifetime's happiness. Human happiness comes not from infrequent pieces of good fortune, but from the small improvements to daily life. Benjamin Franklin. The 13 virtues. So, let's take a look at which virtues made the inventor of the lightning rod a wiser, happier, more coherent man. The definitions Franklin associated with each virtue are from the 18th century, but almost all continue to be relevant today. 1. Temperance. Eat not to dullness. Drink not to elevation. Unwittingly, Franklin already knew the Japanese hara hachibu rule. When you are 80% full, stop eating. 2. Silence. Speak not but what may benefit others or yourself. Avoid trifling conversation, or as the Japanese proverb puts it, whatever you have to say it tomorrow. In the final chapter of this book, we talk about the importance of the words that come out of our mouths. 3. Order. Let all your things have their places. Let each part of your business have its time. In her bestseller, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, Marie Kondo stresses how space influences our mental harmony and the development of our ikigai. 4. Resolution. Resolve to perform what you ought. Perform without fail what you resolve. In Chapter 3, where we introduced the concept of gambaramasu, we saw how powerful resolve and effort are for any facet of our lives. 5. Frugality. Make no expense but to do good to others or yourself. That is, waste nothing. Expressed in modern terms, less is more. Minimalist life encourages us to have fewer things and relationships, but better quality ones. 6. Industry. Lose no time. Be always employed in something useful. Cut off all unnecessary actions. In Chapter 33, we talk about Kaizen, the art of incorporating small daily improvements into our lives. 7. Sincerity. Use no hurtful deceit. Think innocently and justly. And you speak accordingly. In the words of Gandhi, happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. 8. Justice. Wrong none by doing injuries or omitting the benefits that are your duty. The peace of mind that comes from doing what is just avoids weariness that could drain our energy and cost us success. 9. Moderation. Avoid extremes. Forbear resenting injuries so much as you think they deserve. At the end of the day, outbursts of negativity end up poisoning everyone. 10. Cleanliness. Tolerate no uncleanliness in body, clothes, or habitation. In a Buddhist monk's guide to house cleaning, Kisuke Matsumoto points out that all outward cleanliness is at the same time inner cleanliness, and thus disperses the clouds of the soul. 11. Tranquility. Be not disturbed at trifles, or at accidents common or unavoidable. The great Zen master Taizen Deshimaru said that, regardless of the external events, a human's natural state is silent, peaceful, and unagitated. 12. Chastity. Rarely use venery, but for health or offspring, never to. Dullness, weakness, or the injury of your own or another's peace or reputation. Perhaps this is the only non-up-to-date virtue, although it is quite true that enjoying sexuality through deceit is hardly the way to peace of mind. 13. Humility. Imitate Jesus and Socrates. Enough said. Create your Franklin notebook to bring this self-improvement method into your everyday life. Get yourself a little notebook you can carry with you, or use your cell phone notepad. Adapting the Franklin method to your own needs. 1. Make a chart like the card we saw earlier, noting the days of the week and the values you want to develop. 2. Devote each week to developing one of these values and start the day with an intention related to it. For example, to practice gratitude. Today, I'm going to write an email to a former teacher who helped me a lot in my education. 3. If you fail to work on this virtue one particular day, then don't put a check mark in the chart. At the end of the week, you can use it to check how consistent you have been with this objective. 4. When the last week is over, examine the chart and focus on the virtues you have developed the most. If you have 7 check marks, that means a virtue has already become an integral part of your life. If you have got few check marks, put this virtue in the chart again so you can practice it again in the coming weeks. 10th station, Gasuku, Shinkansen. Sessions. Japanese believe no one person alone can contribute as much as a gathering of talents. In this culture, the sum of synergies is key, over and above individualisms. The tasks we carry out alone receive a boost when several talents work together, even if each person tackles their own project. When this group energy is in play, the lone creator sees him or herself inspired and fueled by the example of others who are pursuing their dreams. A powerful energy comes from sharing space with other people who are operating at fever pitch. Let's take a look at some of the most famous and surprising examples. A scary retreat. 2 centuries ago, a group of English writers met at Villa Diodati, on the shore of Lake Leman in Geneva. The mansion had been rented by Lord Byron, who invited the poet Percy Bysshe Shelley, who came there with his wife Mary. Byron's personal physician, J.W. Polidori, was also in the house. The meeting took place in what would come to be known as the year without summer, due to the violent eruption of the Tambora volcano. In present-day Indonesia, which plunged the northern hemisphere into winter during the summer months. In the midst of this apocalyptic climate, Lord Byron suggested his friends and doctor played a game. Each of them would lock themselves in their room until they managed to write a horror story. Polidori wrote a fragment of what would become The Vampire, the first novel of this genre ever written. When they came together to share their writings, Byron's physician should have been the clear winner of the challenge. But he was unlucky. In that very same exercise, it occurred to Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin, Shelley's wife, to come up with nothing less than Frankenstein. She was inspired by the conversation she had heard between her husband and Polidori about the research of the time, in which electricity was applied to corpses to try to reanimate them. This masterpiece of the genre would probably never have taken shape if all those prolifically imaginative minds had not been shut up together. Gasuku. 2 weeks from now, you have to go to a gasuku. One of our departmental secretaries told me. She tried to explain to me what a gasuku was, but the only thing I understood was that we were all going on a weekend trip to the Izu Peninsula. My colleagues and I arrived expectantly at a traditional hotel, Ryokan. After dinner on Friday, I eased myself into a hot tub surrounded by bamboo trees from where I had a moonlit view of Mount Fuji. If they pay me for this, that's awesome, I thought, grinning from ear to ear. Saturday came, and at 5 a.m. we were all already up. We ate breakfast in one of the hotel's meeting rooms. Meanwhile, the company chairman explained what was expected of us. The rest of the weekend was a work marathon. without a spare second to bathe in the hot springs with views of Fuji again. On Monday, instead of feeling relaxed after the trip, I was exhausted but felt satisfied. We had generated more ideas and solved more problems over the 2 days of Gashaku than in several weeks at the office. A crash course in creativity in Japanese, the term gashuku is used for the gathering of work colleagues away from the place they usually meet, with a common objective, to improve by using the whole team's ideas. It is also used for people who study or even practice hobbies together, for example, martial arts. It's what we call an off-site meeting, or in engineering circles, a hackathon. We often dream of dedicating more time to our passion, to developing our ikigai, but we are busy with mysterious tasks and routines that somehow always manage to take up all the hours of our everyday life. But it is not our fault. There are so many pieces in the jigsaw puzzle that makes up our daily routine that we find it hard to make radical changes. We can achieve modest objectives, such as going to drawing class for an hour on Thursdays. There is nothing wrong with going to a school every week, but after 3 months, we will only have devoted 12 hours to drawing. Can you imagine spending a weekend in a hotel in the mountains with 3 or 4 friends who are also fond of drawing, devoting 12 hours a day to landscape painting surrounded by nature? In just a weekend, you would undoubtedly achieve the same results you would get from half a year's effort. The Novelist's Hotel. In periods when I couldn't concentrate to finish my novels, I began to acquire the habit, when the deadline drew close, of confining myself for several days in a row, sometimes for a week. In a hotel in the city where I lived, one of them where I finished Wabi Sabi was so close to home that from my room's window I could see my apartment block. It was weird seeing my own house while I was typing on my laptop. Being in a place that was both nearby and yet strange stimulated my imagination, while giving me the concentration I needed. I did more faraway confinements in a Montserrat Abbey cell, which I didn't leave until I had finished my thriller El Cuarto Reino, The Fourth Kingdom. Francesc. Being outside our comfort zone, away from our everyday worries, helps us to concentrate our energies on getting the best out of ourselves and on learning much faster. It is worthwhile bringing everything to a halt now and again to devote a few days, or at least a fair number of hours at a time, to nurturing our passion. How to organize Shinkansen sessions. What they call gashuku in Japan, we call Shinkansen sessions. Shinkansen session, time devoted exclusively to a well-defined, ambitious objective for a continuous period of time, consisting of many hours or even several days, avoiding all distractions. Ideally, it will be carried out in a place removed from typical everyday lapses of concentration and distractions. The objective is to achieve a qualitative leap forward, as we saw in the first chapter. Now let's see how to organize a Shinkansen session. You have to fully commit to the day and time you decide on for the start and finish points. Clearly define the objective before starting. Whenever the session starts up, you must be able to work from the get-go. Ban cell phones and other means of communication from the starting time right up until the finish time. If a lot of people join the Shinkansen session, it is best to begin the previous evening, for example, with a dinner or some event to bring everyone together to get to know one another and create a good atmosphere among the attendees. To carry out a Shinkansen session alone, look for a new place where you can be separated from distractions. For example, a country house or even a hotel in your city. Remote Shinkansen sessions can also be organized with other people who share your passion. The best thing to do in this case is to use collaborative tools such as Skype or Hangout, which allow you to share your computer screen and see each other's faces. It is important for all participants to be fully motivated, so they don't end up sidetracked surfing the net. 11th station, adventure, stepping outside your comfort zone. Hen. We take a train toward a new destination. We may at first be stricken by worry upon leaving the world we know. However, after a while, seeing the landscape roll past our window, we are overcome with the calmness typical of travelers who flow with the journey and accept the temporary nature of life. This willingness of spirit is what must accompany us when we embark upon any adventure, whether it be professional, artistic, or even emotional. We must be aware that we will leave our comfort zone, which will cause us uncertainty, but the new horizons that await us are worth being brave about. The frog that was boiled alive without knowing it. Our comfort zone is the place or situation where we feel comfortable, because we find ourselves in a well-known environment where we can use our habitual responses. With no need to improvise new solutions or face up to the anxiety of change, the comfort zone is a behavioral state within which a person operates in an anxiety-neutral condition, using a limited set of behaviors to deliver a steady level of performance, usually without a sense of risk. Alistair White. However, always remaining in the known world prevents us evolving, and many people pay a high price for not abandoning the bosom of what feels comfortable. In the shape of apathy, feeling weary of life, and even depression. The good news is that challenging our comfort zone is something that comes naturally and instinctively from the moment of birth. It allows us to grow, learn, and mature. Children are always venturing into the unknown until they become adults. The trouble is that at that point we discover we are vulnerable. We become aware that we have things to lose and that we can get hurt. We stay where we are comfortable. We become like the fabled frog who stays in the pot because as he becomes accustomed to the slowly rising temperatures, he remains unaware of the danger he's in and is boiled to death. Better the devil you don't. None of the breakthroughs that have made society progress would have come about if humanity had remained in its comfort zone. Likewise, on an individual level, only by venturing into the unknown will we achieve what we really desire. The education and personal growth guru Dale Carnegie puts it this way in Make Yourself Unforgettable. How to become the person everyone remembers and no one can resist. We learn by doing. Children don't learn to walk by watching others. They try to stand and fall hundreds of times before learning how to put one foot in front of the other in perfect balance. Doing things that are uncomfortable and new ultimately expands your comfort zone. It enables you to confront new tasks courageously, not without fear, but with fear under control. If you do the thing you think you can't do, you'll feel your resilience, your hope, your dignity, and your courage grow stronger. Someday you'll face harder choices that might require even more courage. When those moments come, and you choose well, your courage will be recognized by the people who matter most to you. When others see you choose to value courage more than fear, they will learn what courage looks like, and they will only fear its absence. We have to put the idea of bevel behind us if we want to aspire to something more than survival. We already know our comfort zone inside out. It has already given us everything it can. What if we dare to go a little beyond that? Short getaways from your comfort zone, even if your current commitments do not allow you to set off on a great adventure. You can go on some kind of foray outside your comfort zone every day, like a mountaineer who trains in nearby mountains before attacking the highest peak. You may use these proposals to avoid complacency and to invigorate your everyday life with fresh air. 1. Change your route to work or to your study center. Or else change the way you get there. If you usually go by public transport, try biking one day or even walking, if it is not too far, observing the sights you see on the way. Read a book by an unknown author. Go into a bookstore and, with no preconceived ideas, allow yourself to be seduced by a cover and a title. At most, read the first paragraph to see how it makes you feel. Maybe you will make the find of the year. 3. Stroll through a neighborhood where you have never been. On a non-work day, act like a tourist in your own town. Take the subway or a bus someplace you have never been before. Stroll around the area with new eyes, observe the buildings and people, or go into a bar to soak up the local life. 4. Learn something new. However little time you have, join a course in something you've never done: Tai Chi, Japanese cooking, calligraphy, drawing models, photography, etc. As well as plunging into a new world, you will come into contact with new people. 5. Overhaul your friendships. Particularly if you have put point 4 into practice, open the door to new relationships coming into your life. They will introduce you to different places, and you will also renew your topics of conversation. To get new friends, you can also talk to a work colleague with whom you've had a strictly working relationship up until now. 12th station.